Very good afternoon, dear participants and streamers and viewers. This is the Gaidar Forum, and we're here meeting on the eve of the Old New Year, as we call it, and it is a pre-resurgence period of time because the resurgence is coming shortly, as the professionals say, because of the Omicron strain. And now we are going to discuss the social development strategy of this country. We'll see the federal perspective and we'll also hear from the regions. Definitely, the pandemic has roiled very many countries and nations, and we had the clearly set way forward and the goals and the targets and priorities all laid out. But the pandemic caused a major reshuffle, and the labor market has been going through an overhaul, and part of the workers work remotely, and they may have blended regimes and modes of work. And the labor market received some support and incentives from the government after this heavy blow dealt. And after a while, the employment started recovering. But it's not in all the countries that it has recovered to the pre-pandemic highs. So I would like us to focus on the future of the labor market, which is the basis for the welfare measures and the social development, because if the economy is in development, is underway, well, the social sphere, the welfare will also feel okay. But our topic here is broader, which is the social development strategy. So don't be confined to the labor markets. First of all, I'd like to yield to Mr. Anton Kotyakov, Minister of Labor and Social Protection of the Russian Federation. What is your perspective? What is your vision of the welfare sphere development till 2030? Well, this long-term horizon is something that we should bear in mind despite the turbulence caused by the pandemic. A very good day, Vladimir, Dmitry, and Andrey. Vladimir, I want to thank you at the outset for allowing us not to confine ourselves to the labor market only, and we may have broader boundaries of discussion, of the scope of discussion. And currently the labor market has recovered after the pandemic in this country, but it is also important to look in the mid and long-term trends that we are now witnessing, and the main external factors impacting the labor markets. One of these is the demographic situation, and the demographics that we are now witnessing shape our perceptions of the fact that in future the labor market will considerably transform. As in other countries, we are monitoring, keeping track of the life expectancy of our people, and we have a clear understanding that the proportion of 65-plus-year-olds will go up. Today we have around 23 million of elderly people, and by 2030 their number will increase to around 30 million people. That predetermines to a large extent, and in no small part, the development of the welfare, services and education. And it is evident that today this service sector for 65-plus-year-olds has a large proportion of the employment, and by 2030 we'll have to enlarge the number of the people employed there to 6.3 or 6.5 million people, catering to the elderly. And now we definitely have to embrace broader age brackets, and we should look closely at the long-term care and expand the scope of the services that we render. We deal with active longevity, and definitely we pay a lot of heed to the rehabilitation of the disabled people. And with respect to the youths, to this age bracket, we have people born in 1990s, which is a very numerically small cohort, and hence we can see that in future we will see a proportion of 15 to 29-year-olds, but we have a reduction of the number of people aged 30 to 44 years old, 30 to 44 years old. So we'll have a 3 million increase of youths. That will hardly offset the age shift in the cohort of 30 to 44-year-olds. So here we are doing, as government, we are doing our utmost to engage the youths into the labor market as actively as possible, as good as it gets. And unfortunately, another trend is the demographic tenets of our people. The average age of our mothers over the past decade has gone up from around 27 to 29 years. So we are witnessing similar trends in Western Europe, like in Belgium it's around 29 years of age, in Austria and Portugal it's around 30 years of age of average mothers. And that must be taken into account when we handle the labor market in these countries and in other nations as well. And we're seeing a major change, a transformation of the proportion of age cohorts, and that will be coinciding with the change in technological production and patterns, and robotics and AI and Internet of Things and cloud-based technologies and solutions will result in greater labor productivity. And we gather that in the mid-term, around 9 million of jobs would be covered or superseded by the growth of productivity. That does not mean automatically that there will be a major release of workers, and there will be the surplus of idle manpower, because we all know that currently, while the new technological basis is being shaped, new niches on the labor market emerge. We're seeing the taxi service developing, the delivery services, and another range of professions coming to the fore. And now, being aware of the pressure, a certain level of pressure on the market of labor, we are seeing that there are some of the spheres and the enablers and drivers that will engage more and more our people into new niches. Most importantly, it's about the IT sector and the hospitality sector and the entertainment, science, construction, and the welfare and the social sphere and the health care, broader health care. We will also witness growth in energy and in trade, although the growth here would be much lower than in the IT sector. The latter one needs 70+% of new workers, and the hospitality would need 35% more workers in the forthcoming years. And the federal center in this respect, and in this light has a goal of preparing our people to the changes that are coming and instill the need for continuous learning and advanced training into the minds of our people, bring it home to them, because the automation and the state-of-the-art solutions require all of us to get acquainted with the novelties in each and every profession, and that is a daunting task, a baffling one, because like in 2020, the 41.4 is the average age of workers, and it's gonna go up to 43 years of age in a few years. So, and the externalities impacting the labor market include demographics that has been changing the age distribution in this country and worldwide, and we're seeing a transformation of the production sphere with a much greater need for IT competencies and new types of knowledge. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Minister. You have brought up a very important matter of demographics, in particular in the light of our next speaker, in the wake of our next speaker, who is heading the Novgorod region. They're next to the St. Pete metropolis, an agglomeration that absorbs much of the youths from the Novgorod region. So, Mr. Nikitin, what is your vision of the problems of these issues on the ground, and how you're going to respond as a region? Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Over the past 3 years, we have not seen an outflow, but an inflow of young new workers. We have the surplus, the positive balance. Our measures include, most importantly, dealing with colleges. We have been investing heavily to develop the vocational education system alongside the employers. We have been working hard, and each college has a council of employers, of prospective employers, and we see to it that all the youngsters receive relevant professions and can fulfill themselves on the territory of our region. And now we're seeing the inflow of students from other regions. In the past we had 0, and now we have youngsters from 32 regions studying at our colleges and vocational schools. And the other point to mention is universities, and our university, our regional university, has gone up in the ranking considerably, now being 3rd in the country, and the capability and the overall numerical value has dramatically increased. And we are seeing also here the inflow of youths from other regions. So, the retention problem is not an issue for us. Well, but we have unfortunately too few youths. We have very many elderly people, so retention is insufficient for us. What we need is to lure in more young ones, providing the favorable context for them to live and work and study. And two milestone things happened in the Novgorod region 2 years. A special economic zone or area was established with 8 residents now to date, and the intellectual and science valley was established. Now we have a new toolkit called Valdai that enables to create and set up startups and technology labs and developing companies. So we now have our own valley that kicks off in January, and the resident companies will definitely be attractive, I hope, for students and youngsters. If we take demographics per se, unadulterated, I want to tell you that we can hardly overcome the overarching trends typical of the nation. And this is further aggravated by a high proportion of the elderly in our specific region. What can be done in this respect? Well, we have a number of practices and strategies like caring to women that plan an abortion. They're attended not only by doctors and medical personnel, but also by social workers that would offer them possible education options or new ways forward and trajectories to set up their own business. And today, the share of women that previously wanted to make an abortion that changed their mind has gone up from 0 to 15%. Definitely 15% is not something we should be complacent with, want more. But anyway, we cannot push them into that. We can only try to coax them into not making or having an abortion. So the main thing from the perspective of birth rates is that the average parental age goes up, and more adults are now aware that giving birth to a second or a third child would plunge their families in poverty. And to address that, we have the social contract, which is a new toolkit for us, and we have been actively introducing that on our soil with less than 600,000 residents. Over 2 years, we had more than 11,600 something social contracts per annum. So around 43,000 people participated over the 3 years. And the social contract appropriations may be spent either on advanced training and education or to help establish a business, which is our aspiration in both cases. And we have integrated the toolkit of support measures rendered to the SMEs, which is a toolkit by the Economic Development Ministry, aligning it with the welfare incentives. Those enrolling on a social contract are addressed by experienced mentors and coaches, and they may also receive microloans in their new capacity of entrepreneurs. Out of those who enrolled on the social contract, around 2,000 people have set up their business, and all of them are successful, which is a novel and salient case for the sake of all the measures that have been taken for the sake of retaining and bringing in new youths. These are very, very precious recipes that may be used in other regions as well. I mean, the social contract and the alignment of education and business support measures so that the alumni and the graduates are aware that they will stay relevant and will be in demand on their own territory, in their own region, in their homeland. And the aspiration to have more people from other regions is also a novel and precious practice. So now, with respect to the Perm region and Governor Dmitry Makhonin, and Perm has always been credited with its very good and high quality universities. It has been a forgery of new manpower. It is an old industrial region, but currently it also needs more skilled people in the manufacturing and in the hospitality, in IT. These are new sectors, so definitely these are quite relevant goals that the region is faced with. Over to you. Thank you. Very good day. Thank you for inviting me to attend the discussion with respect to the higher education development and bringing in youths or retaining youths. I must say that our region needs to tackle one key thing. Well, we all know that the universities in Urals are quite strong and we have good prospects, but we are to invest more funds in housing and improving the logistics and facilities and capability of universities. That leaves much to be desired. And when I speak to federal counterparts of mine, I tell them that we have resolved the kindergarten issue, and now we are not ashamed of them. And now we are sorting out the schools, and in 3 years we will fix that. And so the secondary education now is on the rise. But with respect to dorms and universities, there is a great deal of things to be done. There is much room for advancement, and I hope that in the forthcoming years we will implement the federal project on our soil related to building new dorms and campuses, and we will, under this federal program, we will build several units and blocks and buildings of dorms for our leading universities, regional universities, and now we are retrofitting and modernizing and reshuffling dorms at our universities and vocational schools and technical schools, and we will be able to employ potential and youths and bring in youths from other regions and territories, providing them with housing.
We are developing secondary education as well as tertiary education in collaboration with industrial enterprises, and of course targeted education is a very good avenue we are pursuing. Let me cite just one example: the aviation technical school. Many people are aware that the industry in Perm has achieved a great breakthrough in producing engines, especially aircraft engines, MS-21. This is a whole new world in terms of engineering, ingenuity, and we're working together with the industry. Right now, 14 people are applying for one single spot, so that's the ratio, and that is far more competitive than in many other tertiary education institutions. We are gonna build a new building and also create a dormitory, also using the regional capacity, which will help us expand the pool of graduates up to 1,000 people. And there are other successful examples I could cite. Rostec is modernizing the equipment used for training. There are also special target education programs. We intend to start building a facility for repurposing, retraining based on Rostec. This is going to be a very advanced, accelerated program for reskilling. There are certain challenges. They consist in the need to be even more mobile. We need to be faster, swifter in helping our citizens reskill. And this acceleration training center we are building is our priority. We need to adopt a new mindset telling us that we can change our profession several times throughout our life, not just the location we're working at. Let's take the field of trade. Perm region has decided not to train people in trading skills because there is no need for that. We need to rechannel into IT, digitalization, chemical industry, gas chemistry, petrochemistry, and also machine building. This is probably the key issues I wanted to share with you. Apart from that, I think as the pandemic has demonstrated to us, we need to readjust our employment services. We need to reorient them. We understand full well that there are people who end up unemployed, but as a matter of fact, they are not unemployed. We need a special digital service. We need to match people with job vacancies, and that is why we need human resource agencies. If a person wants to find a job, they will be able to do that. And of course, there are some services that have already proven their worth in our country, and they give a chance to each and every person to find a job opening. And of course, there is also this issue of professional unemployed, people who do not want to work and will never work, and they will always be registered at the employment agency, and they require some assistance from psychologists, maybe psychotherapists, but this is not an issue for employment agencies to address. We need to find another way around that. Now, if we look at the industrial enterprises in Perm, I think they will move towards greater digitalization as well as automation of manufacturing processes. Lowly qualified personnel is going to be replaced with machine equipment. Just two examples for me to cite. Promovod, it's a Perm enterprise. It produces service robots. It exports them to 40 countries, if I am not mistaken, and they are widely used in Perm. And another company is Novgorod, is also an industrial company. It produces industrial robots. They are capable of some manipulations to address the lack of personnel issue. And these trends are only going to strengthen further. So we, at the regional level, have to have a very good grasp of economic trends underway in the economy. We need to match that to demographic troughs, to demographic problems we might encounter, and address the situation at the level of every specific region. With due regard for what's happening in the economy and the industry, thank you. Thank you. You have raised a very interesting issue of reforming the employment agencies. I'm not going to restrict Anton Olegovich. When he responds, he can respond to that. He can speak on other issues, but I would also like to speak about employment services. Right now, it's kind of a hybrid mode, that a chimera that merges together different ideas. So you go there to get a benefit or an allowance or some preferential treatment, and the number of applications like that is very big. Another part of people who apply to these centers, 50% of people who want to find a job opening, but unfortunately these employment agencies do not simply have information. They do not have resources that would be able to get a job for these people, to propel them to middle income. What they want is not, a cash out, a handout, or a benefit. They want to find a job to become self-sufficient and independent. So, what do you think? What do we need to do? Maybe we need to reorient the employment agencies, make an emphasis on psychological preparation, on some social adaptation, something people expect from an employment agency. Thank you, Vladimir, for this question. Dmitry has touched upon the issue of repurposing our employment centers, and I can tell you that as of now, I can have a discussion with you, but in a year I will be able to, to speak with greater conviction about that. Last year, we launched a very large-scale project across Russia. This is about transforming the employment centers. The technological part has to be bolstered up. Last year, we brought together a single platform, all employment services platforms, which gives us a far better understanding of the labor market from the point of view of job openings that are available, and also the needs and requests of people who are registered at employment centers. We do understand that the labor market is not local, nor is it purely regional. It has to be viewed through the all-country, nationwide lens, maybe even international lens. But so far, we do not have a very good understanding of the all-Russian context, either from the point of view of job openings and jobs available. But we used to have no such tool. Right now, we do have this tool. It allows us to analyze very well the labor market, the structure of job openings. We see the regions with a surplus of personnel and also with lack of human resources, and that is how we are readjusting the work done by employment centers. We introduce standards that are already applied at the level of multi-purpose centers for providing government services to citizens, and all the rest, it's a single unified system that allows us to respond according to the requests and expectations of our citizens. Starting from November, we launched a nationwide service for people who want to find employment. 2 years ago, the only function performed by employment centers was to pay the benefit and to register you at the employment center. Right now, we believe that an employment center has to be considered henceforth as kind of a human resource agency that has a specific approach to each and every person to find a specific job opening, job offer. At the same time, we provide a comprehensive service to the employer to find the person that best fits the description, the job description provided by this employer. And we intend to complete this transition process by 2024. We are not just trying to provide the employment centers with the requisite technology. We will provide the requisite resources. But we are also funneling a great deal of funds to reskilling and training our employment centers officers. Last year, several thousand trained at Renipa. Renipa helped us with developing the job programs, and specialists and professionals from all over the country came to Renipa to train. And by 2024, we intend to reskill and repurpose more than 24,000 employment centers officers. There are other services like the psych consult, also analyzing the skills of the prospective employee. This all feeds into the concept of employment centers transformation. Another issue I would like to point out, to touch upon, as it were, Dmitry has aptly said that the business has to be involved in education processes, in secondary education as well as in tertiary education. It is of the utmost importance to involve businesses, engage them in developing the syllabi, the curricula, and also the requirements, the requirements concerning the curriculum itself. At this point of time, we see that how relevant our graduates will be in the labor market is conditional on such an engagement. And several years prior, it was just a one-off example here and one-time example there. But right now, given the trends emerging in the labor market, we see that the employers are interested themselves in actively contributing to the syllabi, to the curricula. They understand full well that the labor market is structured in a very peculiar way right now. We have a very low unemployment rate, the lowest in the recent years, and that is why we need to create a human resource pool of potential candidates for your business several years in advance. And also, just to cite some examples, some statistics, according to our estimates, given the rapid shifts in technology, in material resource space, in the next 3 to 5 years, around 70% of employers in the labor market will require reskilling, which is going to create a huge burden for the education system. This is also going to be very hard on the government as one of the organizers of this process. This is also going to be a challenge for the employers, who need to understand that currently, to build human resources, to develop human capital, is far more advantageous, far better than trying to find someone outside in the labor market. So these corporate efforts of big employers, the efforts of educational institutions such as the Tertiary Education Ministry, the Education Ministry, and the efforts of prospective employees themselves, they have to all be in sync and pursue the path of building a special pool. The organizers are giving me a cue saying that we are very close to the end of our session. Unfortunately, I don't think it's time to make any definite conclusions, because different positions have been expressed. But be that as it may, it's been a good discussion, and I would like to wish everyone very good health. And I see that a lot is being done. I would like to wish success each and every person who participated in our discussion. Everyone is to be successful where they work, and then our country is going to be successful as a whole. Thank you.